Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban have separated, according to multiple outlets. The news comes after the actress put in an application to become a resident of Portugal. And while no other name was listed on the form, her husband Keith still planned to join Nicole in the international move. A source with knowledge of the situation told E! July 24th, Keith was unable to be in Portugal for this appointment as he is currently on tour in the U.S., and it is mandatory for applicants to be physically present in order to apply for the visa. He is scheduled to submit his application at a later date that works with his tour schedule. However, the insider added, while Nicole and Keith own a home in Portugal, their primary residence will continue to be in Nashville. Keith and Nicole tied the knot in 2006 and have 2 children together, daughters Sunday and Faith.
Picture this. Nicole Kidman, the ice queen of Hollywood, and Keith Urban, the country boy with a rock star heart. 2 worlds colliding, 2 stars falling madly in love under the spotlight. For years, they were the definition of couple goals. But behind those red carpet kisses and golden smiles, something darker was brewing. Secrets, distance, and a quiet heartbreak that no camera ever caught. Now, after nearly 20 years, it's over, and the truth is spilling out fast. So grab your tea, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned, because this isn't just a breakup, it's the end of a Hollywood fairy tale. It all began on a glittering night in 2005, the G-Day USA Gala in Los Angeles, a room full of stars, champagne, and Australian pride. But somewhere between the flashbulbs and polite applause, 2 people met who would change each other's lives forever. Nicole Kidman, the Oscar-winning actress, freshly divorced, still learning how to breathe again after the chaos of Tom Cruise. She looked flawless, of course, that porcelain skin, that calm grace, but inside, she was fragile. Years of living in the shadow of a Hollywood power couple had left her cautious, craving something real. Something quiet. And then there was Keith Urban, the country boy from Queensland who made it big in Nashville. On paper, his life looked golden, chart-topping albums, screaming fans, the perfect success story. But behind the guitars and cowboy charm was a man wrestling with addiction, trying to keep his demons hidden from the world. When they met that night, it wasn't dramatic. No movie moment, no big scene. It was subtle. Electric, like 2 magnets that didn't realize they'd been waiting for each other. He later said he felt it instantly. She called it a lightning bolt. And from that moment, everything changed. He would send her flowers, call her every day, make her laugh in a way she hadn't in years. Nicole, who once said she'd lost faith in love, started to believe again. The media called them opposites. Beauty and the troubadour, Hollywood meets honky-tonk, but they were more alike than anyone knew. Both had faced heartbreak, pressure, loneliness, and the ache of fame's illusion. To the world, they were glamorous, but to each other, they were home. 2 souls trying to find peace in a world that never stops watching. And that's what made their love story feel like a fairy tale. Not because it was perfect, but because it was fragile and they chose to fight for it anyway. To the world, they were opposites, but to each other, they were mirrors. 2 people who wanted love to heal what fame had broken. 2006, Australia, a winter night that felt like magic. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban stood in front of family, friends, and flickering candles at a small church in Manly. She wore a lace Balenciaga gown, her face glowing under the soft lights. He waited at the altar, visibly emotional, fighting tears. When she walked toward him, it wasn't just a wedding. It was redemption. 2 people who had been broken in public finally finding peace in private. The next morning, the headlines called it the fairy tale come true. Australia's golden girl had married her country boy. Hollywood's newest power couple was born. The years that followed were pure romance on display. Red carpets, magazine covers, and glowing interviews that made them look untouchable. She would gush about him in interviews, calling Keith her saving grace, the man who made her feel seen again. Keith wrote songs for her, Once in a Lifetime, Making Memories of Us, turning his love into music. On stage, he'd pause mid-show just to say her name, to tell the world how lucky he was. At award shows, they'd hold hands, whisper in each other's ears, kiss when the cameras panned their way. It was effortless, intoxicating, the kind of love story the media couldn't stop chasing. They became the dream, the Hollywood couple that seemed real. No scandals, no drama, just devotion. Nicole said she finally felt safe. Keith said he saved her life. Fans believed in them, not just as celebrities, but as proof that love could conquer the chaos of fame. Even when Keith entered rehab later that year, Nicole stood by him, quietly, loyally, showing up every day like she had something to prove to the world and to herself. And somehow that made their love look even stronger. The world saw a couple who'd survived the storm and come out shining brighter than ever. But beneath that golden glow, the cracks were forming. The distance, the pressure, the constant need to look perfect, it all started to take its toll. They became Hollywood's fairy tale, a love story that looked untouchable. But fairy tales, no matter how beautiful, can't survive reality forever. Only 4 months after the fairy tale wedding, the cracks began to show. The headlines hit like a bombshell. Keith Urban checks into rehab. For the world, it was shocking. For Nicole, it was heartbreak deja vu. She had stood on that altar believing she'd finally found safety, stability, a man who saw her beyond the spotlight. And now she was back in crisis mode. But this time, she refused to run. She became her protector, his anchor, the quiet force keeping him steady while the world watched. Every day, she visited him in secret, shielding him from cameras, shielding them from judgment. She told friends she'd already lost one family. She wasn't about to lose another. In public, Nicole kept her composure. She smiled through interviews, downplayed the chaos, told reporters they were stronger than ever. But behind those calm blue eyes was exhaustion, emotional, physical, spiritual. She was juggling her career, his recovery, and the pressure of holding their perfect image together. She wasn't just being a wife, she was being a caretaker, a bodyguard, a believer. The press praised her as devoted, unbreakable, the ultimate Hollywood wife who stood by her man. But the truth was, she was cracking quietly under the weight of it all. In one interview, she softly laughed off the rumors, saying, "Every marriage has its challenges." It sounded confident, but there was pain hidden between every word. She'd spent years healing from her divorce, rebuilding her identity, learning how to trust again, and now all that progress was being tested. When Keith came out of rehab, the world applauded his courage, but few noticed how much Nicole had sacrificed to get him there. Nights without sleep, days filled with fear, the constant dread of headlines tearing them apart. To the cameras, she looked composed, glowing even, but privately, she was holding her breath, waiting for the next wave to hit. Because deep down, she wasn't just fighting for love, she was fighting her fear of being left again. The fear that maybe no matter how hard she loved, history could still repeat itself. And that quiet, aching fear would never truly go away. From 2008 to 2015, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban seemed unstoppable. They built a family together, 2 daughters, Sunday and Faith, and to the outside world, they were the picture of perfection. Red carpets, magazine spreads, interviews, every moment screamed happiness, stability, and love. The tabloids even crowned them Hollywood's last real marriage. But behind the cameras, the truth was more complicated. Keith's long tours meant weeks away from home, and Nicole's filming schedules kept her constantly on the move. They were 2 people trying to hold together a life that demanded they always look flawless. Every smile, every handhold, every staged public moment became less about love and more about survival. They were performing perfection for the world, while quietly shouldering the pressure and exhaustion that came with it. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, Nicole began to fade. The energy that once lit up every room dimmed behind the bright lights, behind the magazine covers and glowing interviews. What the world saw as an unshakable couple was in reality a delicate balancing act, one that neither could maintain forever. By the early 2020s, the distance between Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban had grown almost invisible to the public, but impossible to ignore behind closed doors. Keith was living on the road, touring stadiums, performing for thousands night after night, while Nicole spent months overseas, chasing roles and filming projects that kept her away from home. Friends began to notice the change. Small signs at first. They spoke less, avoided questions about each other, and their laughter, once constant and easy, had quieted. Rumors of tension started to swirl. Whispers that Keith needed space, that the closeness they once shared was slipping away. Nicole tried to hold it together, calling, texting, planning visits, desperate to keep the connection alive, to fix what was breaking. But no amount of effort could bridge the miles, the schedules, the unspoken distance. Every moment together felt fleeting. Every conversation weighted with the unspoken truth that the love they had fought for was struggling to survive. She was still trying, still reaching, but the reality was harsh. You can't fix something alone. And in those quiet, empty moments, Nicole began to feel the fairy tale unraveling, leaving her with the ache of a love slipping quietly out of reach. 2024 marked a turning point that no one saw coming. Nicole Kidman was across the ocean, filming Practical Magic 2 in London, but her usual grace and composure seemed strained. On set, she was distracted, her mind somewhere else, flickers of worry crossing her face between takes. Fans and co-stars noticed. The sparkle in her eyes that once drew cameras and headlines now seemed dimmed, weighed down by something far heavier than any script. Meanwhile, back in Nashville, Keith Urban quietly packed up their home, moving out without fanfare, without announcements, without a single confrontation. The house they had shared, the home filled with memories, laughter, birthdays, and family holidays, was being stripped of his presence. When Nicole finally returned, she walked into silence. The rooms felt hollow, suitcases stacked by the door, framed family photos still hanging as if frozen in time. The emptiness spoke louder than words ever could. No goodbye, no argument, just a void where love once lived. The loudest kind of heartbreak. Tabloids circled like vultures, itching to catch a glimpse of scandal. But Nicole stayed calm, composed, her exterior polished as always. She'd endured the public eye before, and she knew the game. She would rather endure her pain privately than be paraded as the victim for the world to pity. Behind closed doors, she felt the weight of the end of a chapter that had defined nearly 2 decades of her life. Every headline, every rumor, every whispered conversation reminded her that what the world saw, the golden couple, the fairy tale, had been an illusion, maintained at personal cost. Then September 2025 arrived. Nicole filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. It wasn't messy, it wasn't bitter, and there were no financial battles. Her focus was singular and unwavering. Her daughters, Sunday and Faith. Protecting them became her mission, her anchor in the storm. Meanwhile, Keith Urban responded in his own way, altering lyrics during a performance to reflect the breakup, leaving fans stunned and social media buzzing. For the public, it was another celebrity split. But for Nicole, it was the collapse of a myth. The storybook love that Hollywood had adored and built up was finally unraveling in real time. In this moment, she wasn't saving anyone else anymore. For the first time in years, Nicole was saving herself, reclaiming her life and her peace from a relationship that had once defined her but could no longer contain her. In October 2025, Nicole Kidman sat down for a Vogue interview, and the words she chose were simple, but heavy with meaning. You think you know where life is going, and then it isn't. For most readers, it was just a cryptic quote, a reflection on fate. But for those who followed her journey, it was a revelation, a subtle confirmation of everything that had been happening behind closed doors. Friends close to her reveal that she's still heartbroken, that the love she holds for Keith hasn't disappeared, but she's done pretending to live in a storybook that no longer exists. For years, she carried the weight of their marriage, the golden smiles, the red carpet appearances, the public perfection, all while quietly managing the cracks that the cameras never saw. Rumors even surfaced that some of their most private fights had become fodder for song lyrics. Personal pain turned into public consumption. And yet, Nicole refused to retaliate, refused to let anger or heartbreak turn into spectacle. She chose restraint, dignity, and most importantly, herself. The woman who once built her world around love, loyalty, and saving others finally decided that peace mattered more than performance. Now the world sees a different Nicole. The quiet moments are hers to own. Walking through the streets with her daughters, laughing without pretense, existing without the constant pressure of keeping an image intact. There's a serenity in the way she moves, a calm that comes from reclaiming her life. She's no longer the caretaker, no longer the savior, no longer the one holding the threads of someone else's struggles together at the expense of her own. She's just a woman learning to live again, on her own terms, in her own time. After nearly 20 years of love, loyalty, and illusions that dazzled the public, the story finally turns inward. And it begs the question, did Nicole make the right choice by walking away from everything she had built? Was choosing herself over the myth of perfection the ultimate act of courage? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because at Spill Society, we're here to uncover the stories behind the smiles, to show the truth beneath the red carpets, and to celebrate the moments when someone finally chooses themselves.